So Tuesday on SECZN Live, we let the live chat predict every single regular season record for every single SEC team. There was no betting lines. It was no like Vegas involved. It was just the fans. Then yesterday, FanDuel dropped their official win totals for the season, and somehow our live chat here at SECZN, aka the Keyboard Collective, was spot on, right? There were a few differences,
Mhm.
but for the most part, they were spot on. It turns out, Nick, that SEC fans may know this conference a little bit better than Vegas.
Mhm.
I don't know.
That's what
Were you surprised by that, Nick?
nah, cause we great like that, that's what we are.
If you weren't on that stream and you're watching this, you truly missed something special. So go back and check that out. First, subscribe, right? And that'll let you participate in these votes. In the future. So go ahead and subscribe, and that way you can become part of the Keyboard Collective. But yeah, you missed something special if you missed out on that and being part of something special. Where we here at SECs and we're dedicated to giving the fans a voice, right? The fans a voice
Mhm.
that they don't have. So we gonna check it out, man. We gonna check it out. Let's take a look at that chart here. See what came up, man.
Okay, okay.
All right, so here we have it, right? This is if you can see this, if you were following us on social media, you've probably seen this chart floating around. Uh, but just to kind of explain it real quick, you see the teams. You see that the Z with the football imprint, that is our SEC season index. That represents the fan poll results. And that's going to represent anytime you see that, it'll represent what the fans have said, that number of metric that the fans have voted for. And then we have the FanDuel column with their win totals that they release, right? So, as you can see, if you're looking at this, they're pretty spot on, man. Like it was pretty close. Were you surprised by that, Nick?
Nah, cause we great like that, that's what we are. Nah, we great like that, we can do that, that's how we do it. We talk this for real. Water cooler talk, we talk that score. But nah, man, nah, I mean, um, if it gives you a little bit of validation that what we do here, that we do this for real, then you see that there. That's what that should tell you. Um, SEC season, this was great. When you sent it to me, I was like, man, we really were spot on. We're probably like, I think with three of them, we were probably off, from what
Yeah,
FanDuel has. But other than that, you know, 13 out of 16 teams, you get right on the money
I'll
or
take it.
like right in the ballpark. I'm taking that, man. I'm taking that one
Yeah,
all day. That's like a what? Is that like a 80%? That's an 80% clip right there. That's a B. That's a
yeah,
B in, in,
yeah,
in
for
schoolwork.
sure.
So I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
congratulations to the keyboard collective and the fans that participated in this and everybody that voted. Uh, take a bow because
Yes.
I was
Yes.
not expecting it to be as accurate as it is, but you guys actually, ball, right?
Yep.
You know
Yep.
ball. So what we're gonna do today, man, is we're gonna go through some of the ones that were really off base and try to provide some kind of context of why the vote may have went the way that it did, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm just go down the list in order. Um, first of all, you got Georgia up there. We predicted 10-2. FanDuel came out 9.5 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty spot on. Then you move on to Texas. Texas was if you watch that episode, Texas was a kind of a back and forth one, controversial.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it ended up at 9-3. FanDuel's rate came out 9.5 games, so spot on there. Um, LSU is a little bit off because FanDuel has them at 8.5. We
Mm-hmm.
had them at 7-5 on the season. So let's take a look at LSU schedule real quick, man. And in this one, actually, this one was pretty close, but I do want to take a look at their schedule and see why the results may have come out that way. Um, so let's
Okay.
take a look here.
Okay.
We now originally Uh, I can't remember which way you voted. I think I voted for 7 games. I think it's a 7-win team. with the FanDuel's line being 8.5. Um, what games on here do you think that maybe they're looking at FanDuel is looking at that we, probably marked as a loss?
Um, I think they definitely looking at, you know, you're looking at the Ole Miss game, going back to Ole Miss.
Right.
They probably looking at that and saying, does LSU come out with a win there? Probably not. You know,
Mhm.
um, looking at Texas A&M, of course, Texas A&M is going to be a tough out because I believe Texas A&M has a uh, what is it, 8.5, roughly about the same as
Yeah.
LSU. So could they be looking at that as a loss and giving Texas and potentially, the way Texas A&M dominated that game last year?
Right, right,
Um, Texas, they may look at Texas, they may look at Alabama, and they may be looking at Tennessee. I don't
mm,
know. I think they're thinking that I'm thinking that majority of people thinking that they go on the road and win at Auburn.
right.
Um, but when you look at Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, definitely those four are the ones that they probably are looking at saying that those are the ones that they lose, and then you have to toss up games with potentially what Clemson looks like. Does Clemson get a win on the road? Could that
Right.
be could that be a game? And then is there another toss up game as well? So I think it's probably what they're looking at.
Yeah. Man, I agree with you with all of those. I think you hit the nail on the head with that Clemson game. I think that may be the one game that's the difference between our poll and theirs. Um,
Hmm.
because a lot of times Vegas goes off tradition, and traditionally, LSU hasn't fared very well at season openers.
No,
They
no, no.
they usually drop those games, but then they end up, putting together a nice resume by the end of the year. They put together a solid season. So that may be the one. I don't know. You guys, put in the comments what you think, about this
And
one.
And
Go
speaking
ahead.
on that Clemson game, LSU went into, Clemson last year and got that win. Was that a 17-10 win that
Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
last year? So,
Yeah.
it was a defensive battle. So does Clemson get back? I think a lot of people are looking at Clemson potentially being better than what they were last year, even though there was a lot of hopes for Clemson last year. Like
Yeah,
I
I was
was
about to
one of
say
the
that.
people that was high on Clemson, just because of what they had coming back. Cade Klubnik, that's the quarterback. This year, I think
Yep.
a lot of people were looking at them saying, "Are they going to be better?" And will they go into LSU's Death Valley and be able to get a win and get that revenge? So it'd be interesting
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was high on Clemson as well. Just like I said, a lot of returning production.
Yep.
I thought that Cade Klubnik would be, in the top tier of quarterbacks just because he was, coming back for another season. But
Hmm.
it didn't fare out that way. Clemson's got their own kinda, um, things that Dabo and the transfer portal and whether to get players and whether not to get players. So they kinda got their own way of operating right now that, it
Hmm.
doesn't look like it's up to date with the way college football is being played right now. So that I say all that to say I think that's a winnable game for LSU, actually. Um,
Okay.
I
Okay.
think it is season opener, Lane Kiffin's first time, at home in Death Valley. Like, you open at home as a new coach at home in that environment, Death Valley, against a opponent like Clemson, man, that game's gonna be must see TV, I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, but so yeah, you guys, can put in the comments, why do you think there was a difference between our vote and, what came up with, FanDuel's vote? So let's take a look at some more of them, man. This is interesting. So, it's we moved to Texas A&M, right? Texas A&M, we had them at 8-4. FanDuel comes out, 8.5 games, spot on, right? The next
Yep.
one, Alabama, we had them at 8-4. This was a controversial one. People did not agree with this at 8-4. FanDuel comes out, 8.5 games, spot on. Um, this next one is interesting because, you got Oklahoma, right? That we put at 10-2.
Yeah.
Um, FanDuel or Vegas, their rating, it comes out to 7.5, right? So we were a bit higher on Oklahoma than they are. I personally am high on Oklahoma, right? Um, but that's a bit of that's like 3 games difference, man. That's kinda drastic. Um, I don't know, man. What do you think leads to that? Why do you think that Vegas is not as high on, Oklahoma as we are?
because what they lost on the defensive side of the football.
You think so? You
You
think so?
lost Kip Lewis. I'm not excuse not Kip Lewis. Yeah, you lost R. Mason Thomas. You lost Samuel Masingo. Uh, you lost some guys on in that front seven that were uh pretty impactful to that defense. Like you lost two good guys. I mean, you still have Kip Lewis, you still have Stone back and things of that nature. But also on the offensive side of the ball, you know, you have some you have Isaiah Satanga coming back, but you got some new transfer receivers that's coming in as well. Um, but the thing is also, will they be better running the football this year
Yeah, I think
as
that
well?
that's it.
How does their offensive line hold up as well, being able to run the football? And then, looking at this schedule, you know, I look at I look at the schedule, and the only two games on here that I think that you potentially are looking at them saying, you know, could these be, games that are losses?
Right.
You would say Georgia, but you would give them a fighting chance on the road at Georgia. Because I put Brent Venables in the same category of defensive mind as Kirby Smart and those type of guys. But Texas, a lot of people seem to be high on Texas this year. So the
Right.
perception that is about Texas. So based off of what people are feeling about them, I mean, could those be the games that they're looking at, saying that those could be the two games that we looking at, saying that those are the two games that they can look at. But they have them at what, 7.5 is what it
Seven and
is.
a
So
half. So you need 4
so
games. They count
so yeah.
basically 4 losses.
So are you saying that Ole Miss and Texas A&M are the other two games that they potentially could, trip up? But those are home games.
Right.
Could they go? Could they go to Florida, and trip up in the swamp? I mean, don't get it twisted. Georgia had to battle it out last year against Florida in the swamp. I mean, not in the swamp, but in a neutral site game. But then you look at that Michigan game as well too. You gotta
Yeah.
go to Michigan. You beat Michigan last year. I think they only allowed one touchdown in that game last year. Oklahoma did. But
Right.
now this time you have to go to Michigan. Michigan got a new head coach in Kyle Whittingham. New system, new schematically and everything. So could those be the four games that they looking at? Those away games. Could it be that Florida? Could it be Michigan? And could it be that Georgia and that Texas game, which is going to be a neutral site game?
Yeah, man, I'm thinking about the same thing. They gotta be counting that Michigan game as a potential loss. Michigan,
Yeah.
like you said, Whittingham's there, new system, and now they're gonna have a quarterback that's not a true freshman. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
he's gonna grow up and he should be better. Um, but yeah, the Michigan game, at Georgia, you open SEC play at Georgia, which is, nobody wants to do that. You get the bye week, and then you come back with the Red River Shootout, right? It's not called
Hmm.
rivalry anymore, it's shootout. The Red River Shootout, and, I'm not that high on Texas. I think Oklahoma wins that football game,
Me too.
uh, but, I mean, I guess for pick purposes, did you have to call that kind of a 50-50, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
even though, like, I personally, I believe that Oklahoma wins that football game.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
then, like you said, at Florida, right? At Florida, Florida's projected to be a better team. This game is late, it's late in the year. Um,
Mhm.
Oklahoma, like you said, they haven't ran the football very well. Um, and that has cost them some games. You got John Mateer coming back. Is he healthy? Can he stay healthy is the main
Yeah, they
thing,
stay
right?
healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you look at that Florida game, and by that time, um, with as physical of a contest because that Michigan game is gonna be physical, that Georgia game is gonna be physical, Texas game is gonna be physical, even Kentucky is gonna be a physical contest for you. South Carolina is gonna be a physical game. Mississippi State has some physical aspects to them. By the time you get to that Florida game, man, you're gonna need a lot of pieces to be healthy in order to make a run at this thing. So they may be counting that one. I'm not sure. I have
Mhm.
trouble looking at this schedule and finding more than 2 to 3 losses, which is
I
why
agree.
I had them at 10 games.
I agree.
Um, but yeah, that may be it, man. It may be like that, like you said, that Michigan game. That Ole Miss one at home is interesting too. Um,
It is.
but like you said, you got those 2 games back to back at home, Ole Miss and Texas A&M, which are
Yep.
threats, but you get them in your building, which is,
Mhm.
always a good thing. I'm not sure, man. You guys drop in the chat. Why do you think that we're so high on Oklahoma? As in Keyboard Collective and our live chat, yet Vegas is like, pump the brakes a little bit. I don't know, man. That's gonna be an interesting. So let's move to the next one and let's see what do we have here. Ole Miss. Right up under them is Ole Miss, right? Now we had them at 9-3. FanDuel put them at 7-5. That's not too far off,
Not
right?
too
That's
far.
about 2 games. But let's take a look at Ole Miss' schedule real quick and see where we can find that 2-game difference. Um,
Mhm.
let's see here. All right, so uh, we have them at 9 games, right? Um, 3 losses.
This is a very favorable schedule. Very favorable.
Oh, yeah, that's why we had them at 9 games. So,
Yeah.
which one of these games could they potentially lose? I don't think they lose to Vanderbilt. Uh,
No.
I don't know if they I don't know. If they go to Florida before the bye week, I mean, that could be a tricky game just because it's after the LSU game. That may be one. At Texas it could be tough for them. They get Auburn at home, Georgia at home. The Georgia game is always a toss up. Oklahoma away. So the games that I'm looking at again, man, it's for me personally, it's tough for me to look at Ole Miss schedule and find more than 3 losses. Like, seriously. Because like you said, this is a very favorable schedule. I mean, it's a 9-game SEC schedule. I don't know if there's such thing as favorable schedules in the SEC anymore, but if there is one, this is it. You're looking at it right here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I look at this and I'm trying to like I don't think it's Georgia that much of a challenge for them. They beat Georgia. They lost to them one time. They had a lead.
right.
And it was just questionable. You can say questionable coaching or questionable play calling in the fourth quarter, but then they beat them again in the college football playoffs. So is that a are we looking at that as a tough game? Are we looking at that as a definite loss for them, especially with it being at home, or is that just a toss up? You
It's
know,
kinda a toss up for me. I don't think it's a definite loss.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's a toss up as well. I mean, you're looking at Texas. I mean, the people are high on Texas, so I'm pretty sure they're counting that one as a loss.
Mhm.
Should they be like Florida on the road? Playing Florida at the Swamp is a difficult place to play.
It
Let's
is.
just be honest about that. Let's just call
100%.
it what it is. Playing them on the road is a difficult place to play. So that could definitely be a toss up game, even with a new head coach and new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, and all that. So that is a difficult place to play because of it's the swamp. It's Gainesville. It's Gainesville. It's just a tough place to play.
Right.
But I mean, I'm the LSU game is a toss up. Those are my three. I mean, I think they feel like Ole Miss can beat other teams on this schedule. Like but me personally, I think Auburn goes in there and gets a big win on the road against Ole Miss. In my personal opinion, is what I think. But other than that, I mean, I don't see anything else on this schedule to where I'm looking at it and saying it's the loss. I mean, like
Yeah.
they play Oklahoma on the road. That'll be a tough game, but they played Oklahoma on the road last year
Right.
and won at Oklahoma. So, and that came after they lost to Georgia, as a matter of fact. They came after they lost to Georgia. So I mean, I look at this and I just say, man, this is wild. Man, this is crazy. So they have to play. They playing Georgia at home, and then they playing Oklahoma on the road again for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, it's because of the scheduling. Uh,
Ah, that makes sense. Because
yeah, I
Texas A&M,
because
they're doing the same thing with Texas A&M, 'cause Texas A&M had to
yeah,
play LSU back to back on the road.
right, I looked it up after that, after you mentioned it in the last episode, and it has to do with, adding the additional ninth game, the way that they have to do the schedules, that it's probably gonna happen to every team
A
at
lot of
some
teams.
point. Yeah,
Yep.
next year is gonna be a couple of them that have back to backs. It's just something that we're gonna have to deal with. Uh, but yeah, listen. They Vegas has these at potential 5 losses, right? I I
Mhm.
I find it difficult to find 5 losses. I mean, I can make some losses out of these, but for me, I feel like Trinidad Chambers is the best returning quarterback in the SEC. There's not a quarterback on this schedule that I'm looking at that I think outperforms him in that game, except for maybe Auburn. And that's not because I'm a homer or anything like that. It's because I expect Auburn's offense to be insanely efficient.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not saying that Auburn wins that game, but I expect Byron Brown to put up numbers. So, outside of that, I think, Trinidad Chambers outplays Sam Levitt.
Yep.
What has Vanderbilt got? True freshman coming in. I take Trinidad Chambers in that. I'm taking Trinidad Chambers versus Arch Manning. Uh, I
Easily.
think I think Trinidad Chambers is a better quarterback than Gunnar Stockton. I'm
I
not saying
agree.
that they'll win that football game, but listen, Gunnar Stockton is insanely efficient as well and is
He's already
effective at
done it.
what
He's
he
already
does.
won that football
Yeah,
game.
right, right. Now a healthy John Mateer and a
That is
healthy
a good
Trinidad
question.
Chambers is must-see TV, right?
It is. It is.
Because how we feel about Trinidad Chambers right now, at least how I feel about Trinidad Chambers right now, being the number one, saying that he's the number one returning quarterback in the SEC. I feel like if John Mateer had maintained his health and ended the season healthy, one, they probably have a better record last year, and two, he would be the Trinidad Chambliss returning. We would look at him as like the
Mhm.
best returning quarterback in the SEC. So I don't know about this one, man. If I had to bet on it, I'd take the over. And it
Mm.
and there's also one glaring difference too. We all
Mm.
we talk about brand and name recognition. You slap Lane Kiffin back as the coach of this team, that they go get a 9.5 over, right? I think I think a lot of what
So
you're seeing being lowballed is because of Pete Golden.
okay, so if Lane Kiffin is the head coach of this team, which 2 games are you saying are automatic wins then? That we just discussed.
Mm, I think, Florida. I think
Okay.
I think he
Okay, I give
beats
you that.
Florida. An automatic win, Texas, that we just talked about,
Okay,
Texas. I
because he
think he
did it.
beats
Okay.
Texas.
Okay.
Right, right.
Okay.
Georgia's Georgia. Oklahoma game, man. Oklahoma uh, in Norman is a tough, tough ass.
But they did
They
it last year. They beat them
Yeah,
last year on the road.
that is true. Oklahoma doesn't even have to play. Oklahoma's one of those teams that don't even have to play well at home to make the game competitive. I'm serious, man. Like we went to Oklahoma, man. Auburn went to Oklahoma. They didn't play particularly well. Uh,
Yeah, they did. They did.
but they played well enough to win the game, man. So yeah. So you guys in the chat, tell us, man. What do you think that? It's like a 3 game difference, right? 3 losses to 5 losses. What do you guys think those 5 losses show up for? Ole Miss on this thing. So we gonna move it right along, man. We've got a couple more of these to go through. Uh, Really interesting. So let's take a look. So we did Ole Miss, right? Got Florida at 7-5, right?
Yep.
The
Beat
line came
them.
out. It was 6.5. Perfect. Spot on.
Yep.
And then we moved to Auburn, right? And
Yeah, man.
this is one that we were far off on. Uh, so we got them at 9-3. And then FanDuel puts out their line at 6.5 games, which I think is fair. Now, just to be clear,
Yeah.
it's a heavy Auburn lean when we were taking these votes. So there's
Yeah.
that. But I think the 6.5 games is fair. Let's see what the difference is though. Because for a betting line with Auburn's schedule, I think although I think 6.5 is fair, I could also see Auburn winning 9 games very easily, right?
Agree. Agree.
All right. So where's the discrepancy in this schedule? Where is the 9? We got 3 games of difference here. Takes us from 6.5 to a 9-game season, 9-win season. Which one of these?
I, look-
I don't know, man.
you look at the schedule, right? It said there's 6 blue spaces. There should be 7 because Baylor is technically going to be a home game because it's right up the road in Atlanta. So I'm
Right.
counting that as a home game.
Mhm.
So you're sitting here telling me out of those games, out of those 7 home games that Auburn has, they should win 5 to 6 of them. So you saying Baylor should be a win, Southern Miss should be a win, Vanderbilt should be a win, Sanford should be a win, Arkansas should be a win. The two in
Right.
question that most people are gonna have in question at home, you're saying is Florida and LSU. Me personally, I think Auburn can beat Florida. LSU, I think Auburn has a good shot, especially if some things happen on that first part of the schedule. I think they have a good shot of beating LSU at home, but it really depends on what happens at the beginning of the season. Now you look at the away games. You have 5 away games. Auburn
They're
should beat
brutal.
Mississippi State. Yeah, Auburn should beat Mississippi State on the road. And I'll say this: Auburn has a really good shot of beating Tennessee on the road as well. Even though Neyland Stadium is the loudest stadium in college football, when you look at roster for roster and team for team, Auburn should be able to go in there. And I believe Auburn has the better defense between the two because I think that game will come down to which defense makes a stop at the most critical point in time in the game, and that critical point in time can come at any time. I'm not just saying it's in the fourth quarter, but which defense can make the critical stop in the fourth quarter to hold on and help that team win. So you look at that. Now the question comes between where does Auburn get a win between those last 3? So you're sitting here telling me I've already said I think Auburn can get a win on the road at Ole Miss. I think that happens. But
Right.
between Georgia and Alabama, which one do they beat? Do they beat Georgia on the road? Do they beat Alabama on the road? So if you're looking at that, and for sake and just for good sakes, we say Tennessee is a loss. We say
Right.
LSU is a loss. You
Okay.
win, you get a big win on the road at Ole Miss.
Mhm.
Now that one loss comes between you got to get a win on the road either at Georgia or at Alabama. That's where my 9-3 is at.
Right,
You
right.
know, you know,
Yeah, I'm
because
I'm thinking the same
if I
thing.
had to if I had to pick now, like preseason, I feel that Auburn could beat, LSU and Tennessee could beat LSU on the road, and I feel like they could beat Tennessee on the road, but I wouldn't pick it right now just because, you still want to see it happen and things stuff of that
Right.
nature. But you would say that one of those losses, if you pick Tennessee as a loss and you pick LSU as a loss and you say Ole Miss, you say Auburn will get a big win on the road at Ole Miss. That last win has to come between Georgia and Alabama on the road. Is where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm sorta the same way. I got listen, don't make no mistake about it. That road slate is brutal, right? At Neyland Stadium, at Georgia, at Alabama. I don't know if nobody else in the conference has those 3 games away. Um, and then you got at both Mississippi schools.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, like I said, I'm at I could see 9-3. All right. I think the first loss of the season comes at Tennessee.
Okay.
Um, I see Auburn being 4-0 with the Florida game being in question. Um, you go at Tennessee's returning a lot of production, right? And they're playing at home for that game. You go on a bye week and then you come back, you got to go at Georgia. I don't know if Auburn actually wins that game. Um, so those are my 2. Like I got more so those back to back losses like that. And then
If that happens, Auburn has to beat LSU at home and Ole Miss on the road to end out October. They have to.
yeah, I think I'm. I'm questionable about the Ole Miss on the road, right? So those would be my 3 losses. If I had to pick, it would be Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, and then we end the season winning 4 straight. That's initially what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What I'm trying to see is at 6.5 games, you know, like you said, when you called out the home schedule, so at 6.5 games, let's say we go.
5
I
and
don't I
1.
don't think this would happen. Let's count Mississippi State, right? Since Mississippi State is got a low number. Let's say we go for 1-4 on the road, right?
Mm.
Let's say we wet the bed against Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama, right? With 1 win. Even then, I still see us being able to be over 6.5 because I think we beat Sanford, uh we beat Arkansas, we beat Vanderbilt, we beat Southern Miss. I think we beat Florida. Um, so that would put us, that's 5 games, that's 6 right there. And the
Yeah.
and the over would be either Baylor or LSU. Um, Now I think we beat Baylor, right? I got us winning that football game. Um, and LSU is still kind of a toss up for me, but I think at home we can get that game. So even then, just counting the road, if everything goes a mess on the road, I still think that we can pull off 7 games out of this season. Um, so maybe that's what they're thinking, and maybe they're thinking we just go get smacked on the road. Uh, I don't know, but you guys tell me, man. What do you think the difference is between the 9 wins that we had that the Keyboard Collective voted for, and Vegas's 6.5 win total for Auburn? This is gonna
I'm
be an interesting one, man.
I'm gonna make a prediction right here. Big prediction. And I'm gonna say this again, probably next week on the shows. I think Auburn wins 2 of the 3 big games on the road. And the big
Mm,
games I'm counting Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. I think Auburn wins 2 of those. 2 of the 3. I think Auburn goes 2 and 3 in between those 3 games.
okay, that would be huge. Now that'd be huge. Just to get one of those games would be
It
huge.
would be. It would be.
Uh, yeah, man. So yeah, that's a bold prediction there, Nick. Man, that's what we do around here.
That's it. That's what it is.
All right, man. So let's move on to the next one and finish this list out because it's not very many differences after that. We got Missouri. We got them at 7-5. FanDuel comes out 6.5. Right. Uh, Tennessee. We have them at 8-4. FanDuel had them at 6-5. And since the rest of these are just kind of on point, I'm gonna go through them real quick, and we'll go back and finish up with Tennessee, the Tennessee one. So you got Vanderbilt at 6-6. We had them at uh, we had them at 6-6. FanDuel had them at 6.5 games. We had Kentucky at 6-6. FanDuel had them at 5.5 games. South Carolina at 6-6. FanDuel had them at 5.5 games.
Mhm.
Mississippi State at 6-6. Um, FanDuel had them at 4.5 games, so there's a little bit of difference there. And then Arkansas, we had them at 5-7, uh, and FanDuel had them at 4.5 games, which is, yeah, spot on, right? So,
Yeah.
really drastic differences. There's only like 2. You would count Oklahoma and Auburn probably.
Yeah.
The rest of them are like maybe 1 game off if you wanna count the
1 and a
LSU
half.
one. Yeah,
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 1
it's not very far off, man. But let's take a look at, we'll take a look at Tennessee and Mississippi State real quick, and then we'll get out of here, man. I just wanna take a look at those 2 real quick. Let's see. Let's get Tennessee up on the board. So we got Tennessee. Um, so we had them at 8-4, right? Tennessee, like I said, got a lot of
Mhm.
returning production this year. Returning a lot of production. Um, I'm just looking at their schedule, and so we're higher on them than actually FanDuel is because FanDuel had them at 6.5 games, uh, and we have them over at 8-4. So I always look at the road schedule. At Georgia Tech for Tennessee, depending, it would be a tough one. Uh,
Yep.
could
Yep.
be a tough game for them. Now, the one thing Tennessee has in their favor, is the top of their schedule. At the beginning of their schedule, they play a lot of home games. So that Georgia Tech game is sandwiched in between 2 home games and 2 cupcakes. So you uh, I expect them to probably in fall camp to be preparing for that Georgia Tech game.
This is an
Uh,
eerily similar schedule to Auburn. The only difference is they don't have back-to-back away games in October.
mm, yeah, 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 you're right.
Like, they have the same if you're counting Baylor as a home game for Auburn, they have the same amount of home games and the same amount of away games. But the difference is they just don't have that slate at the beginning of October where they're back-to-back home. I mean, they're back-to-back away games. This is almost
Right,
the
right.
exact same schedule as Auburn's. Like,
Yeah, it's really close.
when you looking at it from that perspective. And this is interesting.
Yeah, it's
Interesting to
really
look at.
close. It's really close, bro. Yeah, let's see. Away games, I don't know. Arkansas, they win that game.
Okay.
Um, see, Georgia Tech still a toss up for me. Really early in the season. South Carolina, I think they win that game. I don't know if they can go into Texas A&M and M and win a game late in the season like that. And I think they beat Vanderbilt. The home games is probably, I don't know. You got Texas. You get Texas at
Mhm,
home. Can they win
mm.
that football game? A lot of people are high on Texas. Tennessee has a lot of returning production, right? And a lot of this is, you got the Aguilar question that's up in the air, so that may be affecting the line too. I think that may be affecting Ole Miss's line and Tennessee line is the uncertainty of the quarterback position. But I'm on record saying that hey, this system, I could go in there and play quarterback, and I can't throw. So, hey man, I don't know. I think Tennessee's good enough to beat Texas at home for sure. But I don't know if they win that game. Auburn, sadly, that's one that I have us losing. I have them beating us in Neyland Stadium. Uh, Alabama, now that's a horse of a different color. Uh, if we're looking at an Alabama team that has no semblance of a run game like it was last year by that point in the season, then I'm taking Tennessee. In fact, if offensively Alabama looks anything like they looked last season, you know, seriously, like there's
Oh,
no
man.
complimentary football, just kind of pass happy. The play calling on third down was, abysmal.
Mhm.
Um, no running game, not even attempting to run game. I think if you bring that into Neyland Stadium again, you will lose that football game. Um, so they've got to get better with their approach, I think. Uh, Kentucky, luckily they have Kentucky at home. And LSU is one that I think they win. At the end of the year, I think they win that game. So even saying that, man, like I still have them at 8-4. I don't see. You see 6 games they could lose.
No, I mean, here's the thing. The Texas A&M, I think Texas A&M is probably gonna be their toughest road game. I think right after that, Georgia Tech. I think right after that, Georgia Tech is gonna be 1 and 2. Texas A&M 1, Georgia Tech 2. South Carolina is gonna be tough just because of the environment, but when you look at the team, I'm not sure that I'm not sure if it's like, you know, if it will be. I think Lenore Sellers will be the best player on the football field in that game. Um, and it depends on what Tennessee is at that point. If Tennessee is, you know, 7-1 or 6-2 going into that game, and they fighting for a spot to start when you start talking about playoff pecking order. I think South Carolina will be up for that game and try to see if they can more than likely kind of spoil that for them.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm looking at the schedule, man, and I'm saying of the five road games they have, the two that I'm questioning are Georgia Tech and Texas A&M, and I like them against Georgia Tech. Um, I think I like. I think I like Texas A&M a little more than Tennessee on the road. Um, in the home game, like you said, the home environment that Tennessee has, man, is
Yeah,
amazing. You know, they took
it is.
Georgia to the wire. They took Georgia to overtime last year. You know, should have won that game, to be honest with you. And if they would have won that game, that probably sets Tennessee up for a run down the stretch.
Yeah.
To where we talking about them being in the playoffs in back to back seasons.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, if they get that win, if the way that Texas is being valued this year,
Right.
if they get that win against Texas, I think that sets them up potentially to kind of get through the rest of the schedule. Even though I believe Auburn has the opportunity to go in there and get that W because they will play Florida 2 weeks before that. But Tennessee will play Texas the week before they play Auburn, and if they get
Right,
that
right.
win, you know that sets up for a match, like potentially two undefeated teams playing each other. You know, at a 4-0. Um, Playing each other
SEC game
potentially
of the
in
week.
prime, yeah, SC game of the week playing in prime time, potentially.
Right, right.
And, so I say this, if that happens with the way that these schedules look, especially with what Auburn is gonna be going up against going into that October slate, Auburn will go on a bye, then they play Georgia the week after that. I mean,
Mhm.
whoever wins that game, are we sitting here saying they have, the upper hand at potentially the team that has the opportunity to kind of write their own ticket to the playoffs at that time? Because that'll be a momentum swing. Because if you add that into it, both teams 4-0 going into this game, the team that comes out 5-0, are we sitting here saying that team has the upper hand? Um,
Mhm.
in the driver's seat as SEC championship competition. I mean, contender or college football playoff contender, or are we saying the team that loses, looking at this schedule, are we saying the team that loses has the upper hand? Because Auburn has, brand wise, some games after that game that's going to be very, very interesting to watch. But I don't know, man. I look at this and I just say I can't see six. That's all I'm saying. I can't see six.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
don't see six because they are basically valuing Tennessee and Auburn almost the same. We're both 6.5 games, so I can't see six. I don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So y'all in the chat, tell me, can you see 6 games, 6 losses on this schedule? Just put in the comments if you can. Hey, like I said, I think this is a Joey Aguilar thing, right? I think
Yeah,
they probably
yeah.
lost 2 games off their win total projection because they don't know who their quarterback is gonna be just yet. Um, because looking at the schedule realistically, I don't see 6 games, them losing six of these games right now. It could happen now, don't get me wrong. Like, teams fall off the map every year. But just, for my initial thoughts, and we haven't even gotten through spring yet, but my initial thoughts, I don't see 6 losses on this schedule. So last but certainly not least, man, I'm gonna go straight over to Mississippi State because that one was a little bit off. I think we're both low on them initially. Um, so this is their schedule. At Mississippi State, we had them at 6-6. Keyboard Collective, the chat voted 6-6 schedule for them, which I thought was fair. FanDuel comes out with their rankings, and they have Mississippi State at 4-5, right? So that's a 2 game difference. That's the difference between a bowl game and not a bowl game. So basically, Vegas doesn't have Mississippi State bowl eligible. Our keyboard collective and our fan base does. So where's the 2 game difference in this schedule? It- I don't know. I'm looking at Minnesota away is an intriguing game. That I don't know. It could go a couple ways. Um, South Carolina, they start SEC play week 3 at South Carolina. South Carolina is going to be trying to make a name for themselves and establish themselves at that point. With Kendall Browse bringing that new offense in, it's probably going to be a lot of points scored in this game for sure.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
that's that game could go either way to me, to be honest. At home, you got Missouri. Missouri's one of those teams that you kinda wait and see. They're in that wait and see phase right now, but I don't know, man. Like, somehow Missouri always sneaks out like 8-9 wins. It just
They
happens.
do. They do.
Uh, that's kind of a toss up with Mississippi State for me. And then you get Alabama, right? You get Alabama at home. Again, this is I don't want this to sound like I'm just ragging on Alabama, but what I'm saying is if you play football the exact same way that you played last year, if that is your philosophy going into this season offensively, then this is a game you can lose. You
Mhm,
can go to Mississippi State
mhm.
and lose that football game. I'm not saying that you will, but I'm saying is if there's no semblance of a run game, if you're pass happy, if the third down play calling is iffy, Mississippi State will beat you in their building.
Yep.
Uh, yeah,
They almost did it last year against Texas. They almost did it against Texas last year. I
yeah,
don't know what happened in that
it,
game. They just
yeah, they went to bed. Yeah, so then you move on to LSU, and it's an away game. They go to Baton Rouge. I think they lose that game. Oklahoma coming into their building is gonna be a tough task. Um, Texas, Texas away is gonna be a tough task. I don't know what Vanderbilt has, right? It, it we I, everybody's down on Vanderbilt, and rightfully so. They lost a lot. Um, but nobody's seen Curtis play. He could be, he comes out and he's the next coming of Diego Pavia.
very true.
If
Very true.
he's freshman Diego Pavia, then that puts a wreck in everybody's schedule. But
He
you know,
his thing about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt still has guys on the defense side of the ball led by Martell Height on the defensive side of the
true
ball. They still have him. They still have Junior Sherrill at wide receiver.
facts.
They still have Cedric Alexander in the backfield that can run the football. The
Mhm.
question with them is going to be, do they have enough bodies on the offensive line and the quarterback? You basically are going to be starting a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
Those are your biggest questions
Well,
when it comes to them.
that first question I can answer. No, they don't have enough bodies on offense. I think they got about 8 offensive linemen. Even if the first 5 are amazing, that is
You need
not.
depth.
Yeah, you need depth in this league, and they just don't have it on the offensive line, and that is scary with a true freshman quarterback.
Yes.
You need that offensive line depth. You need those pieces to be intact to keep him upright. Auburn is a game I think they lose. Um, and then Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl game that could go either way.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanna pick Ole Miss in that game, but then at the same time, it's the Egg Bowl. Uh, but Imma go with Ole Miss, though. Imma go with Ole Miss winning that game. So, like, I can still see this team being bowl eligible. Like,
Yeah.
I see 6 wins on this schedule. I don't if they come up with 4 wins off this schedule right here, it would be a tragedy because they are trending like, this is a team that's trending upwards, right? They should be better this year than they were last year. Um, so, yeah, what do you think about that schedule, man? Do you think you see 6 losses? Well, no,
No.
7 losses on the schedule, rather.
7 okay, here's the way I only here's the only reason why I see 6 or 7 losses. If they can't finish games. Because Mississippi State
Okay,
has shown that they can score with anybody. The problem is, can they finish football games?
true.
Can they do it? Do they have the guys in the rooms, especially on the lines of scrimmage, to be able to finish football games? Do they have those guys? And that's going to be the question that I have for Mississippi State all season long. Because
Yeah,
there's no way that they should not, there's no way they should have lost to Texas last year at home when they were up by 21.
facts.
You know what I'm saying? You were in the game with Texas A&M on the road until the fourth quarter when talent
Came unglued.
and depth just showed that you just didn't have the guys to, just be able to kind of to keep up with them, things of that nature. I look at it and those 2 wins those are 2 wins that they could have had. and looking at them. That's the question for me with Mississippi State. Have they done enough? Have they done enough with not just getting guys that can come in and start, but getting some pieces behind them that are depth quality guys that can come in and be rotational pieces as well to help them finish games? That's my question about Mississippi State. I don't
Mhm.
know if they did that enough in the portal. But
Okay.
hopefully the guys that they did that they have been not I'm about to say drafting, the guys that they have been recruiting through
It
high
might as
school.
well.
Yeah, exactly. The guys that they've been recruiting through high school, hopefully those guys are now older enough or older, being in the system a little bit longer, and the
Mhm.
fact that you get Zach Arnett back as defensive coordinator,
Right, right.
um, as well, I think that bodes well for Mississippi State to do really, really good things this year. So when you talk about them being 4.5 wins, I think that's very disingenuous to them.
Yeah, I think so
In
too.
my opinion, I think this is a 6-win football team. Last year, I was on the record saying that this was going to be the most improved football team in the 2025 season. I was almost right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna take that. I was right because they showed they
I
showed
give
what
you
I
your flowers,
saw what
man.
they did. They
I give you your
they
flowers.
showed what I was seeing. They just couldn't finish games, and people saw it.
Right.
Mississippi State took notice where people were picking Mississippi State to beat Georgia
Yeah.
at home.
It was
Uh,
they how many one-score games did they have? I know Auburn
like
did I think Auburn had the most, if I'm
they
not mistaken. I
did.
think Mississippi State was right
Mississippi,
behind them. They had so many
but
one-score games that they just
but how many of those
couldn't close.
one score games that they had to lead in the games too?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So when
You know
you
what I'm saying?
say, "Can they close games?" I immediately think about defense and running the football.
That's
Uh,
it.
because
That's
that's
it.
that's that's the easiest way to close out a game is you can defend well and then you can take the air out of the football, especially with a 21-point lead.
Yes.
uh, you increase your chances of winning that football game tremendously. And so those are the questions I have. Like you said, Zach Arnett's coming back. I expect the defense to take another step.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but the running game, can they run the football effectively? Fluff Botwell, um, and also the quarterback. I'm drawing a blank.
Kamario Taylor.
Kamario Taylor. Yeah. Can they put together some type of efficient running game to be able to close out these games in close contests? Um,
That's the question. That is the
yeah.
question.
So yeah, that
And
was
by
an
the way
interesting one, man.
Fluff Bothwell is a transfer from, South Alabama, by the way, just so people know that.
It's
You know,
shameless plug.
that's it.
Oh man, but yeah, man, Mississippi State is one. It's gonna be an interesting season to watch for them. I'm gonna be very, very interested in how this shakes out for them because
Mhm.
they got some
Mhm.
games on here, man, and they're good enough to put a wrench in some seasons, man.
Yep. Yep.
They really are. Like I already talked about the Alabama game. Listen, we really don't know what LSU is. Can they go to Baton Rouge and get a win? It's not something that's easily done. Uh, but I don't expect that to be a blowout. I
No.
don't. I don't expect any of these teams to run Mississippi State just clean off the field. I don't.
No. No.
Um,
Mississippi State has talent. The
yeah,
problem is, do they have depth behind the talent? Is the question.
right, right, right. Yeah, Texas is a game that they could go in there and mess up the Longhorn season.
Could. They definitely could.
Um, but what's interesting about these, man, if you look at these schedules and every one of them we put up, you see, you know, the effects of those non-conference games. It's really, it's really tough to schedule when you got non-conference games. You're trying to figure out when you wanna put the 3 non-conference games. Most teams put them at the beginning of the season, then they end
Mhm.
off the slate with the non-conference games. They chose to sneak one of those non-conference games in between Auburn and Ole Miss, which I think is smart. Uh, I wouldn't I wouldn't be opposed to Auburn doing their schedule like that.
They did.
Mm,
They put
yeah,
Sanford right before. They
yeah.
put Sanford
Okay,
right
yeah,
before
that's
Bama.
right. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that makes sense, man. It's like, because I mean, 9 conference games. Listen, like, you just sit back and think about how many teams in the SEC end up being ranked, whether they're rightfully ranked or just not, but they end up being ranked.
Mhm.
You look at this schedule, and I'm just saying this because it's Mississippi State up on the board, but you look at this schedule, all 9 of these conference games could be ranked,
I
right?
mean, yeah, could be,
You
could
could
be.
fall into a situation where all 9 of these teams have a rank on them. Uh, Missouri is always traditionally ranked. Alabama will be ranked. LSU will be ranked. Oklahoma will be ranked. Texas will be ranked. Vanderbilt, maybe not. I expect Auburn to be ranked. I expect Ole Miss to be ranked. 7 ranked games, man. And that's for every single team. It's not just Mississippi State. So that's something to think about. We're gonna talk about that maybe on a lunch breaks episode. But man, this has been a fun one, man. So I'm gonna put this back up on the screen so we can kind of take a look at it as we close this out. Yeah, so there it is, man. It's SEC's Keyboard Collective fan poll was spot on. In fact, I like our numbers better than
I do
I
too.
think Auburn is a 9-win football team.
I
I
do too.
think I think Oklahoma is gonna win 10 games.
I
Uh,
think so, maybe.
yeah, I think so, baby. Ole Miss, 9 games, I don't see that as a stretch for them. Uh, but yeah, I no, again, to the people that voted on this, if you were a part of this episode, thank you and congratulations,
Mhm.
and you've earned my respect. Yeah, you guys know your football. You know your football, man, so congratulations on that. Um, so Nick, it's just time to cue the outro, bro.
Yes.
All right, man, so this was a fun episode recording with my guy Nick Frazier from Water Cooler Talk Sports. Man, make sure you guys are tuning in and subscribing. That way you can be part of these live polls as we put together data. We're gonna be doing it all off season. We're gonna be doing it all off season, so that when the season starts, we have a collection of data voted on solely by fans of college football that we will compare against the experts as the season moves along. It should be fun, man. So make sure you subscribe so you can be a part of that. You can catch us live on SECZN 2 times a week. It's going to be on Tuesdays for SECZN Live, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then Thursdays, which is our newest edition, it's 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's called Lunch Breaks, and it's just SEC content on your lunch break. So make sure you subscribe so you can be part of those. We're collecting data from both platforms, and we're gonna compile it, and it should be fun once the season starts, man. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Nick,
Yo.
let the people know what you got going over there around the water cooler, my guy.
Yeah, man. Water Cooler Talk Sports, man. You can check us Monday, Wednesday, Fridays around the Cooler Show. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Then, of course, Thursdays, the newest show to the network, SEC Heat Check, where I got Marcus Fitzpatrick. Had the inaugural episode this past Thursday. Check out Marcus over there, giving his thoughts on what the fan bases are saying about some of the teams in the SEC. SEC Heat Check. Are they hot? Are they cold? I don't know. Marcus will let you know. He got the pulse of the SEC apparently. But yeah, also, man, visit www.watercoolertalksports.com. Again, that's www.watercoolertalksports.com for all of your college football, SEC football, and of course, Auburn football news in written form. High school is coming very soon. We appreciate you, man. Shout out to Tez for always allowing us to come over here and rock with him.
Oh man, appreciate you. So that is it for us, man. We out. As always, it's SECZN. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Yes.